Good evening, fellas. Wobble here, your local dealer of good vibes, great stories, and extremely dangerous laced narcotics. In-game, Schedule 1. A video game focused on hypothetical means of large-scale manufacturing of certain outlawed substances in a world full of colorful characters, Chicago, Illinois. In Schedule 1, you move to the big city after your uncle gets arrested to produce and distribute weed, methamphetamine, and other criminal goods to achieve big pimp status, or something along those lines. That's what I was here to chase, anyways. What makes this journey have twists and turns is the possibility to add all kinds of daily goodies to your produce, each of which add wacky side effects to your drugs, ranging from dome expansion to being straight up lethal. Can we get the entire city addicted to our blessed fresh broccoli or die a horrific death? Let's find out in Schedule 1. As per usual, these kinds of games start with creating your character. I settled with someone who looks like a love child between an ice pop and a Neanderthal, just so I could fit into the uniquely tasteless American society. We spawned into our lovely home and were introduced to the base mechanics of the game. Watering plants. Hooray! Moving on to the town, our uncle called us from a public payphone. On top of this, he seemed to be very well on top of things and had even set up a little start for me. From inside the prison. Do not quote me on this, but I think Uncle Nelson here might have connections with the deep state, and I can feel he's observing my every move.
I see him, he's in the walls, he lives in the walls!
To calm my nerves, I obviously beat up a random citizen and packed up our fresh produce. I went to collect the money Uncle Nelly had saved up for me, offering our delicious greeneries to the citizens when... Damn. It seemed that we weren't welcome here. We hadn't been here for one day and had already become the target of a gang war. I had a slight guess that if we didn't find a safer place to live, something else too would be blown and destroyed, like our RV. So of course we asked our all-knowing overlord uncle what to do, and he recommended a local motel as a safe place. Outside the motel, the owner Donna rented us a room to operate our illegitimate business from, and I settled in. If you question why the time has suddenly changed today, it is because during my nighttime run to the motel I was experimenting with questionable ways to air travel, and the police weren't having it. According to them, there is some curfew in place during nighttime, but I am unbothered by such mortal made-up hijinks like governments and law enforcement officers. They did eventually shoot me multiple times though, but I am pretty sure that it's because I was homeless. That did mean, however, that I had to reload the day from the start and do it all over again. This time without any tomfoolery. I did manage to settle myself in rather nicely to this peace-colored and odored chamber we call our home, and left my balance to be guarded by someone like me could trust, the most noble of criminals, Richard Nixon. But like any head of state, Richard didn't do any actual labor, and that was left to us. I spent the next day or two practicing my aerobatics and tending to my plants, and with the contacts I had made in my time here, I could begin selling our first batch. The drug market is, in this game, much as in real life, what I would like to call an anarcho-monopoly. Either you buy my product at a ridiculously inflated price, or weep and buy my product. If you refuse, you better know your days are numbered. You best leave with both eyes open, because just when you least expect it, I will have already infiltrated your apartment complex and stolen everyone's copper piping from within their walls. Jokes aside, however, it was time to get the ball rolling. I found this baseball bat and definitely did not use it for nefarious purposes. I kept dealing to a lot of people. Kyle, Peggy, Peter File. Interesting. I kept going until Uncle Nelly advised me to get a bigger apartment for advanced production, so we rented this not-suspicious room from above a local Chinese restaurant. Nothing special, but by god, it wasn't colored like we called urine, so I was happy. I moved our production stations like the packager and mixer to this place and did some remodeling at the old motel, turning it into a makeshift greenhouse. I also bought this skateboard to look cool and rad, but obviously used it too to harass people. Next on our agenda was to smooth our way into the social circles of a local dealer. Now, as many of you may know, I am completely inept when it comes to holding conversations, be it because of smoking my own product or the failed masking of my most likely existent undiagnosed autism. This was a tough task. Luckily, however, I like to imagine there is charm in being a general nuisance and an inventor of involuntary space travel via hovering skateboards, so we did eventually manage to get on Benji's good graces. The next few days were much of the same old: growing, clipping, mixing, annoying, packing, pondering. And of course selling. Our next goal was to earn $10,000 through any means necessary. I would be lying if I said I was being morally correct in my quest to obtain cash. Fucking $9. Yeah, you clearly need it more than I do, brother. Eventually we did manage to source up our $10,000 and be given a new quest by Uncle Nelly. He wanted us to gain access to this shady warehouse, the wretched hive of scum and villainy. A place to be, truly. To enter it, we would need to be what the internet calls big thugs. Luckily, my reputation as a thug had preceded me, and when evening came, I instantly gained access to the place. Somehow, this place had even weirder characters than the outside world, but from here, we could obtain supplies, weapons, and even workers to boost our business. Now, even though we had acquired the required $10,000, we would need a lot more to purchase another property and fill it with equipment. As fun as this game is, I wasn't feeling like gardening for God knows how long. But luckily, I didn't have to. You see, the town has a local casino, and if you know anything about games, it is that if there is a way to gamble for money, by God can that be exploited in a ridiculous way. So I hatched a devious plan. When night came, I would save the game at my house, run to the casino, and play a hand of blackjack. I would go all in, and if I lost, I would beat myself to death in front of the dealer. This, even though very painful for me, is also an extremely traumatizing experience for the dealer and would make them have nightmares for years to come, making me feel mentally like a winner. Jokes aside, upon death I would load back to the save point, run to the casino, rinse and repeat until I won. When I would go back home, save and start all over again. Probably not the most efficient method out there, but it did net me $10,000 in about 15 minutes. And so with our ill-gotten gains, we would return to Oscar in the warehouse and purchase the equipment needed to manufacture meth. This was truly our Breaking Bad moment. I did do some rearranging of our production and purchased these proper mixing stations. I haven't really shown it, but what started as a clever and enticing game mechanic of having to drag each ingredient into the mixer individually did, unsurprisingly, rather quickly become annoying as all hell. The next week or so went by rather quickly and without troubles, as much as it can for a person in my profession anyway. I decided to rather make meth and pacify the population rather than exploit the casino for a while. I had to gather up coin to purchase a business so I could launder my cash. I purchased this small laundromat. Sure, it was slow and couldn't launder much, but it would be fine for now. I did also hire workers, but I am pretty sure I was high on my own product and couldn't really figure out these assembly line conjurations, and it unsurprisingly didn't work. Anyhow, I did go talk to Jeremy Clarkson and purchase the Diddy van off his lot. The van could hold a lot of products inside it, meaning I would more efficiently make higher grade drugs. These new products would obviously be more expensive and had interesting side effects. I wonder if it counts as domestic terrorism when we make the entire town shit themselves at once, thus blocking the pipelines with what can I only imagine being the most foulest sewage known to mankind. After committing vehicular manslaughter multiple times and doing whatever for a while, I tried to re-route the workers and this time actually got them to work. The production of meth was now completely automated, and by that I mean that I myself didn't have to do anything. I could focus on mixing the most potent product for the market. Scaling in this game is really linear. There really isn't much of a change in pace. Not really any major uphills or any downhills really. I mean, unless you get arrested with 100 pieces of product, that is. It really boils down to making products, selling them, slowly leveling up to access a new area and products, making a name for yourself, and rinse and repeat. I mean, it's still fun, and I can't really blame the dev, he did make this game as a solo project. The only problem it really brings is that unironically for the next about of 8 hours of footage I have, it's all very repetitive. So the timeline might get a little foggy, but here is a quick summary of what I got done. I expanded our weed plantation with automatic sprinklers and grow lights. I moved my mixers to another building just so I can mix all the weed we get. I made some impressive products, hit once on the police force, laundered more money, gathered even more trash on my bed. Learned that you can chuck items really far with the baseball bat. It is indeed about the Mets, baby. I tried to use it for nefarious reasons, but the trajectory was rather hard to predict. I invented that Bhutanese shadow garden grown dark evil bag that liquidified the brains of anyone that smoked it, a truly remarkable invention. Any self-respecting drug baron obviously needs a whip to match their style, and I bought the cheetah from Jeremy. It was truly a beast on the track, and by track I mean public roads, which lacks proper protection to the spectators. Obviously, as with anything I did in this city, for some unknown reason even my driving had to have casualties linked to it. Fortunately, or unfortunately, I guess depending on your viewpoint on law enforcement, most of them were police officers. During said events I did figure out an interesting way to deal with them though, and to destroy government property in the process. After all this time my reputation had gotten pretty big, and I finally got in contact with the people who would help me set up a cocaine farm. All was looking up. I was super excited about this new business opportunity. Except that's when I realized that growing, drying, boiling, bricking and mixing is an incredibly, terribly, horribly long and tedious process. So I naturally got bored and bought a gun. Now here's a friendly pro tip from yours truly, kids. If you ever go and buy a black market firearm from your local friendly arms dealer, it is in fact not a good idea to point it at them, as they may not be so friendly afterwards. I had to learn this the hard way. Anyhow, I tried to pass time the best I could. I tried new mixes, distributing them, growing more, making more. Oh, why did I mention growing more? I had to run around and... all of this just so people can get addicted? So that after all their lives are running faster and faster down a slippery slope into unnecessary pain and suffering? All that because of me? I couldn't stand such a thought. I had to put a stop to this. So after a very busy night in the lab, I came up with a mixture with rather explosive properties. I packed them and started distributing them to the people I cared about the most. Kyle, I can't stand seeing you like this. Here you go, my friend. Be free! And Marco, I know we've had our differences, but you have a life ahead of you. Here you go. Donna, you took me in at my lowest. I must repay you and free you from this devilish curse. Mick, Gerald, Austin, all of you, be free! Well, that went about as well as could be expected. I had freed this town of a deadly curse and won the war on drugs by joining the side of drugs. There was only one place to go after blessing this town with our presence, and so I returned to our burnt RV, set up an autoclicker to press spacebar for about 100 times in a second, and launched myself to the stars to live forever. I want to thank all of you legends for watching today's video. I know it has been a long while since I've made a video, but thank all of you so much for still sticking around. And I can say with pride and certainty that there will be more videos, as I have plenty of funny stories to share with you all. Anyhow, thank you all so much yet again for watching, like and subscribe if you found this video entertaining. Have an amazing summer, wherever you are, and remember to keep being awesome, as you always are. I've been Wobble, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.